he's one of those names.
And he cannot be understated. It's just he doesn't seem to tour as much as most of the others. He just loves this event and does really well here. And Murloc Mage.
Bringing on some Murloc Mage. I like it. Look at that. A Murloc Raider still in decks. Still kicking. And smuggling.
And a couple of more, I was going to say unusual lineups, but this is the sort of lineup I was expecting, actually. DragonAlbert has brought the Even Paladin, the Shudderwock, the Murloc Mage, and his Tog Druid has been banned out. Jarla has brought Mind Blast Priest because it's Jarla. He's brought Hunter, he's brought Malygos Druid, and he has had his Shudderwock banned. It's one game each, as you can see from the lovely graphics on the left-hand side there. And honestly, Even Paladin is just such a good bring right now, I feel. I overlooked it completely in Atlanta, and a lot of people bought it and did incredibly well with it. And so I went home and sort of laddered the heck out of it to make sure I knew what I was doing, and it just beats so many decks right now. In Last Hero, where you can sweep with a deck, if your opponent brings a lineup that's slightly dodgy to it, you can just go straight through a lineup with Even Paladin.
It's true, it's true. I mean, Derek, Cora, and myself were having a little bit of a conversation about Even Paladin earlier. Cora was saying she's not a fan. Me and Derek were saying we actually do quite like the deck.
Yeah, I don't like the deck. I think it's just well placed.
Okay.
I think if you took it on raw power level, I don't think it's actually that straight up powerful.
Yeah, Derek
it just
was
beats
saying,
the decks we have.
Derek was saying that sort of thing.
Right.
Pretty much exactly what you just said,
yeah.
actually. It fits perfectly sort of in the tournament meta at the moment. It's not as powerful as some of the other decks, but it's good at what it does. As every time I see Murloc Mage in a tournament this year, and I see that 1-mana 2/1 get slammed from the hand on turn, I genuinely question some things, Lorinda.
You do? I mean, I was playing this deck before Tempo Mage's Resurgence, and it is surprisingly good.
Were you playing the 1-mana 2/1?
What was I playing? I was probably playing Mana Worm in that slot, let's face it.
Right. Because that's the thing, right?
Even though it's not a Murloc, it was still pretty decent. But it wasn't very good in this deck because you don't have that many spells. It was actually kind of... It was still fine. It was still Mana Worm.
It's still better than a 1-mana 2/1.
Yeah, but that 2/1, you do need that buff for the Rockpool Hunter, so...
Yeah, it's true.
Any buff at all, if you do just get any buff at all out on those 1-drops, you win the game so often.
Will DragonAlbert be winning this game, though? Against Druid, with a Naturalize in hand, with a Spellstone in hand, with Wild Growth. Jarla does have the tools he needs to survive the early game, I think. Spreading Plague is key as well.
Yeah, he wants to get this Wild Growth in. He's just trying to work out the best time to do so. And he's trying to picture all the bad things that can happen if he plays it now. And quite a lot of bad things can happen if he plays it now. But if he doesn't, then Spreading Plague is so far away. Last thing you want to do against any aggro deck, but particularly Mage, which is so good at emptying his hand, is Naturalize if you can possibly help it. But if you can Naturalize and Wild Growth and maybe give yourself some tempo to make up for their added value. One thing's for sure is Jarla never does anything quickly. So he's happy to do it this way.
It's the mark of a focused player, isn't it?
I mean, Jarla is insane. He's not just sitting there chilling during those 75 seconds. He thinks about everything. Like you say, focus is very much the word. And he can do it all day. And he's proved that he can do it all day.
And I'm not saying that as an insult to anyone that plays quickly. However, I know that that's the reason that I play quickly, because I do find it difficult to focus on the turn that I'm trying to make for the full amount of the turn.
It is a skill to find... So someone like yourself who plays very naturally finds the best play very quickly a lot of the time. And then you look for another play and you go, well, it's not...
Oh, Lorinda, I rarely find the best play. Believe me.
Don't do that thing, Dan. We know you can. So, but then you look for your second best play to see if it's better and you've missed something. And you're like, well, no, my best play is my best play because I found it really quickly.
Right.
And it puts you off, or it puts fast players off looking for more plays. Zigzo, Casey, Breath, when he used to play insanely fast back in the day. Someone like Jarla, his special skill, if you like, as a Hearthstone player, is finding that seventh thing that he looks at and suddenly realising, hang on, this might work.
And also thinking forwards as well. Like,
yeah,
considering all of the possible outcomes.
Realising why the weird play might actually work and then analysing, well, it's all right to spot the weird play. People like me will spot the weird play and go, hey, the weird play, let's do that because it's the weird play. Not because I'm like trying to meme, but because I think it's better, because I've spotted, I want to show how clever I am.
Yeah, it can
and
be,
it's actually just dumb,
but
he's good.
It can be very difficult to assess the difference between like the cute play and the weird play that's actually going to be effective. This looks like a cute play, but it's also very effective right now. Just starting off with the Rock Wanter to get that Luna going. Look at that. DragonAlbert's managed to develop a decent board and a decent hand at the same time.
Yeah, and holding back those war leaders so he can get through the spreading plague if needed. I mean, Sottle always sort of taught me, or taught everybody, that the cute play is almost always the wrong play. It's players like Jarla who can distinguish when the cute play isn't the wrong play. And it's not as easy as it sounds. Twitch chat will be like, oh, of course it's obvious, blah, blah. It's not obvious. People like Jarla, with his 4 top 16s this year, and his 100 match wins in tour stops this year, you know, these guys know when to do something slightly different. And it's the concentration you were talking about of keep looking for that one different thing and not get disheartened that it's almost never there, because it is almost never there.
Gotta say, Lorinda, that was a good spreading plague. I am factoring the Arcane Tyrants into that.
Yeah, they made the big difference, right?
It was a good spreading plague turn.
Sure was.
As you said, the war leaders do allow DragonAlbert to deal with most of these taunts, but
yeah, this is looking really tasty.
There we go. With the Cold Seer, that's sort of completed this turn, hasn't it?
Yeah, being able to deal with Luna is a big deal now as well, and finally getting rid of that means you know what you've got to deal with. 3 more cards and job done.
MC Tech target as well. Jarla can play MC Tech branching pass if he wanted to just sort of battle back and make his own powerful board.
Seems to be what he's looking at, and wouldn't blame him in the slightest.
Maybe he could even trade against the Luna first to make sure he doesn't steal the weakest
I think he wants to maybe steal the Luna.
You think that's what he wants?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he minds. Well, let's have a look. If you steal the Luna...
I guess it's better than stealing any Murloc, actually, because they all lose their buff when they switch sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a 2-3. Luna would have been better.
So you just need the War Leader or the Luna.
Yep.
And there's no point trading into the others, because if you're going to steal the War Leader, they're going to get smaller, and then you've wasted a trade.
So, okay, at least one attack buff, sure, because now the Tyrant trades straight with the War Leader. Going to go with both of them. Wow.
Time waits for no one.
Jarla just going for the most aggressive board that he can, knowing that DragonAlbert with the Murloc Mage doesn't really have anything he can do about this.
Yeah, I mean, you've dealt with a War Leader, you've dealt with a Seer, and you've got the board. And yeah, DragonAlbert's thinking pose kind of says it all here.
This is, and again, you're much more proficient at Murloc Mage than I am, and
sure.
I know you've played a lot more of it anyway. Wouldn't you say this is one of the reasons, or one of the ways in which Murloc Mage often loses, just because it can't get back on the board?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why it loses. The Mega Saw can give you a little bit of help, but the second you lose the board, you lose. That's why you need to play those silly 1-drops, because they make sure you're on the board right from the start. And you've got a lot to compete with these days on turn 1, you know. Odd decks, or rather even decks, sorry, you know, just automatically put you behind on board. But on the other side, you've seen this was one turn away from being an absolute massacre the other way. Sometimes the Mage just destroys you. You don't have the Plague, or you don't have the huge combination of stuff with the MC Tech that Jarla has.
If not for the Plague plus the double Tyrant, Jarla would have maybe been in a slightly different position.
Yeah, we've seen Double Tyrant do good work today.
It's a very strong card. 0 mana, 4/4.
These are the positions where I don't know how someone can concentrate as well as Jarla.
I wonder.
Why?
Because it's so easy to win from here. Even I don't sit around worrying too hard about what the best player is. I just kill them. But this is where that concentration is so huge. I mean, you can't play Priest for 150 Hearthstone tour matches. Because I don't think I've seen him not bring it. You can't do that unless you're insanely concentrated. Mind Blast Priest, always.
Well, that is going to be the game, unless DragonAlbert can get a taunt, I guess.
And then he just loses the turn after
and then
that
he
one
just
anyway.
loses the turn after that one anyway.
I feel a bit sorry for DragonAlbert. I seem to feel that every time he's on stream, this happens to him. Like over the years, like since 2016 when I was first aware of him, he just seems to always have it. He does so well, and then his matches that he gets streamed don't get in that breakout.
You said overall he's got a good win rate, right?
Really good, like 29 wins and only 15 losses, 2 top 16s. And this isn't my normal, 73 top 16s because he's played a million tournaments. This is a guy who pretty much only plays in Sweden.
Right.
He obviously loves this event, and he's been coming since the dawn of time.
I wonder what it would take for a player like DragonAlbert to want to try and really put himself to the test, see if he can make it to these other events, and see if he can travel the world and compete with the best of them.
I mean, maybe he's one of the players like Open Cup system will favour with the recent announcement, so can't get to many events, but can use his own time, play when he wants to play on his terms. Strong player, qualify through that, and then you make the time for the big event you qualify for.
I have to admit, Lorenzo, I'm pretty excited for Open Cups returning. I used to enjoy entering them myself for fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to enter what would have been the offline to onlines, but now Open Cups, I'm sure I'll have a bit of a dabble at some point. So everyone can laugh at me even more. On to the Even Paladin. And this is just a good matchup for the Even Paladin. I think this is the reason that Even Paladin was tried, is, hey, we can beat Druids. And then it's, hey, we can beat a lot of other things as well. Meanwhile, this is why it's bad for the Druid. It just doesn't have any answers to the onslaught of just repeated minions on board.
Yeah, I mean, it's an area in which Druid, although Druid do have a lot of removal, they only have so much big removal and like not a lot of little removal, so they can't deal with the sort of mid-rangey minions that DragonAlbert's going to be coming out with again and again and again.
And if you don't, those buffs, obviously the Blessing of Kings, but yeah, even the Spite Ridge, just they do get through those chunks of armor the Druid can make.
Me and Derek were casting an exciting Even Paladin match earlier where we thought, yes, they're going to coin out the Corpse Taker, going to Blessing of Kings it, going to start smacking the face.
Yep.
But like with this game, there is an answer for it nice and quick in the form of the Naturalized. Though, you could call a Corpse Taker being Naturalized a win for the Paladin.
Yeah, it's not like with a Mage, though. If you naturalize a War Leader, say, giving them the 2 cards is pretty brutal. Paladin does struggle to empty its hand entirely quickly. It likes to. Giving them the 2 cards, they can't always be used immediately like in some of those other decks. But I do agree.
However,
you do it.
At the same time, the Paladin doesn't really have any card draw. So they can reach the point where their hand gets a little bit dry.
Yeah, just put lay on hands in, it'd be fine.
Okay, sounds good.
Tip for the day, how to lose ranks. So yeah, he is actually managing to avoid the naturalize. Again, we saw this last game as well, making good use of the hero power to buff the spell stones at the earliest opportunities.
Even so, though, yes, Jarla has dealt with one of these minions. Is he going to deal with the other, or is he going to allow this to get hit by that Blessing of Kings? Because that quite often is just turn 4 Even Paladin.
Yep.
Your Blessing of Kings, whatever you've got on the board, you smack him in the face. What's DragonAlbert going to do here? He's going to Blessing of Kings, whatever he's got on the board, and smack him in the face.
This is where having the naturalize as your backup plan is okay. They've probably gone through their 2s and 4s at this point, and so naturalizing them, isn't so bad.
But then there's the 6s.
There is, but then you start getting in a position where you've got allowed to have your own Malfurion or Spreading Plagues. You're headed towards Ultimate Infestation. But like you say, it is just relentless.
There's only one 8. The Paladin that we saw earlier was running Tyrion. This one is only running the Lich King. He's running the Glass Knight, which is quite exciting. We haven't seen that all that often.
Yeah, with the little bits and pieces of healing they get, it does make sense. It almost never does its thing, but it's still a decent enough statted minion to... 4 attacks are a really good number in current meta. 3 and 4 attacks are good numbers.
There's the 2 copies of True Silver Champion. There's the 2 copies of Corpse Taker. There's Candlesmith Kangor. They're all able to heal.
Oh, Kangor's so weird. I always find that card you want to play it late to gain back armor, health in a race, but you end up dropping on turn 2 because you have to so often.
Yeah. I mean, against aggressive decks, if you can play Kangor and then Spike Ridge Steed it,
Oh yeah,
that is often just good enough to win the game.
I mean, that's where the hero. This is why you play the even decks, because if you spike which steed anything against aggro, you win the deck.
Yeah.
I mean, you would love to play. I still think that maybe the best form of this deck isn't in even, but then that 1 mana hero power is just so much better than it looks. Look at turn 7 here. Absolute worst case against many decks is hero power spike which is 7.
Yep.
So where you were saying about the mage, where it loses the board and it's gone, the paladin always has that turn 7 play or turn 5 with Blessing of Kings to get back on board.
That's true. Cards like 2 copies of Avenging Wrath that can deal a lot of burst damage.
Right.
Then again, the Murloc Mage does have fireballs and frostbolts and things.
The Avenging Wrath's really cool because it just allows you to go for game plan A of hit you in the face, and you can switch away from that to defend yourself and then just finish off from the face damage you did many turns before.
Yep.
The opponent can't stabilise very comfortably a lot of the time.
It's very difficult to play around Avenging Wrath as well. You get towards the late game portion of the game, you find yourself at around 12 health against this Paladin with 1 minion on the board. You have to start thinking, wow, a quality Avenging Wrath just almost kills me here.
Yeah, like Void Lords become 1 health minions and you just Avenging Wrath them in the face for the other 7.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's not fun. It's the opposite of fun. It's being Avenging Wrath to death.
Yeah, that's not fun.
You don't want anyone avenging anything, ever.
Unless you're the avenging.
Yeah, sure, then it's great.
And it's your wrath.
I don't have wrath, Dan. I'm a calm individual. Don't tell them. Have you been talking to Sotla a lot or something, by the way? You seem to be getting sort of...
Meaner?
Meaner and, oh...
Did you hear that, Sottle? If you're watching, apparently the only possible explanation for me being meaner is talking to you. Take that as you may.
So, DragonAlbert, getting into the position you find yourself in a lot against Druid, which is a good one. And now it's time for Jarla to work out, okay, am I finally forced to use this Naturalize? The answer is no, because he's managed to get the spell set up to 6. And he's still at a high enough health total that the Avenging Wrath isn't yet an issue. But the rest of his hand is. As simple as that. So working backwards again from the UI, so how do I get more stuff out of my hand now?
He doesn't really want to just play the Dream Petal Florist and not buff anything.
Yeah, trying to work out how important it is to just control the board versus do I need this Florist to win the game? Because, like we've said, the Paladin doesn't just relinquish the board because you play a 4-4 and stick around. It keeps hitting you and hitting you, and for the Malygos to actually win, it needs to kind of combo them to death. And it's going to do that much better with the Florist, but if you haven't played the Florist to stay alive in the first place, yeah, and Jarla's decided, okay.
I significantly prefer this. In fact, I wouldn't have even minded, I think, seeing the Naturalize that turn and then hitting with the weapon. This is the only weapon removal in DragonAlbert's deck. It's been played, it's done. That twig, in 5 turns, if Jarla hits every single turn, will be doing its thing and will maybe even be winning Jarla the game.
Notice, though, that he didn't attack with the twig there. I mean,
he just couldn't.
It is 5 damage, and it's too much. He's trying to preserve the health total to get somewhere useful, because this UI is going to help him start to turn it around.
Well, that's why I kind of liked the idea of naturalizing the ooze and then just hitting the Stegodon, taking 2 damage, but actually getting 1 chip of the weapon done with. Again, is a pretty good target for Ultimate Infestation. Jarla now able to get the ball rolling. There's a Spreading Plague. There's the second Naturalize.
So his decision last turn was all about, okay, I'm just going to do everything I can not to die. I'm going to keep the Florist. I'm going to play a very long game. I'm going to play for the win in many turns' time. And it's not just the whole control versus aggro, who is the aggro thing. This was a very long-term decision of, can I still win without the Florist? And he felt that he couldn't.
I agree.
Or at least often wouldn't.
What would Uther do?
I mean, I think given the alternative options, I just don't think Florist would have been very good last turn. But this is a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. It's presenting multiple threats. which is always good against Druid. Okay, it's not always good, but if they're actual real threats, then sure, that's good, because Spreading Plague doesn't really matter.
Equality plus Consecration plus Blessing of Kings, if he's got 10 mana
available
all in one turn to buff up that Harpy out of control. 8 attack Wind Fury minion, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, even the Equality trade the other 2 minions in and have the 8 Wind Furies enough, I think. Because then you've got the Avenging Wrath as backup for later. He's got a lot of good things happening here.
And Naturalized, it's such a tough decision to make, because again, one of Even Paladin's weaknesses is it does eventually just run out of cards. Its hand runs dry. But at the moment Jarla naturalizes DragonAlbert, suddenly he gets these more options. Maybe he'll draw the Lich King, maybe he'll draw Tauren.
But Jarla knows he can't naturalize yet because he needs to get bigger. There's even bigger things like 8-9 Harpies to worry about. Okay, this is a monster of a turn from Jarla. And DragonAlbert, for all the fact we want him to have 10 mana to break through this, does only have the 9. So he's going to have to work out which of those 3 cards he doesn't want to use. And is the Equality actually any use? Jarla there going for the armor again, paying sort of homage to the fact that he's going for this super long-term combo kill you strategy rather than just, I'm going to defend against your minions here and now. I mean, Equality Blessing of Kings only gets 1 hit through and sort of murders your own board quite a bit. Another reason for keeping those Moonfires is to stop the Equality from being that good.
If DragonAlbert just had 1 more mana, this turn would be so easy.
What would Uther do?
Yeah, well, that's where Druids come into their own. They have that extra 1 mana much earlier than you do. Or extra 7 mana or whatever they do.
Is Equality Avenging Wrath worth considering? No,
the thing is,
really.
this is where Jarla, I think, his strategy is working out nicely for him. Is that the Equality just gets picked off by the Moonfires.
True.
You get Equality Blessing of Kings, which I think feels like the right play, but the Moonfires are going to destroy anything that remains. Nothing is going to remain.
Wow, go to Consecration instead.
Yeah. Forcing through the damage he can now, again playing to that Avenging Wrath. 18's reasonably low for Jarla.
And again, just look how dry DragonAlbert's hand is. No Valanier drawn yet, no Lich King. Not even cards like the Glass Knight, Soundite Chain Gang. Tarim, like, DragonAlbert hasn't really drawn any of his late game.
And Jarla's decision-making has been exceptional in this game.
Yeah.
We're in this position now where he suddenly looks very favoured, and he's had a lot of situations where he could easily have done different things.
That being said, can he really afford to use these Moonfires? I think he has to play at least 1 and get rid of that Harpy, at the very least. Then, can he hold the second one? He needs to have some damage to actually win the game at some point.
He does. But how does DragonAlbert... I mean, so Jarla's very long-term play to get rid of the second Equality. How does DragonAlbert even kill a Malygos?
That's true.
For instance, again, amongst other things. First of all, you've got to kill this.
That's true, but it's just a 4/12, right? Like, if the Moonfires and Swipes are gone, it's just a 4/12.
Yep. But then you've got Malfurion in your deck as well. That races a 1-mana hero power pretty well.
Yeah, true.
There's ways of getting it done. I think he wants to win with a combo and doesn't want to waste the Moonfires, for sure.
DragonAlbert finally picking up the Lich King, though, is key, but also awkward, as he also wants to play Blessing of Kings and actually deal with Jarla's Lich King. He can't fit in both.
He's even looking at the Avenging Wrath here. He sort of hovered over it for a minute.
Well, he could play Avenging Wrath and also Blessing of Kings and hopefully clear off the Lich King without wasting both minions.
Yeah, that's what he's hoping to do.
The maths of it is so complicated.
So if he does launch the Avenging Wrath here, which he does, to hit the Lich King 4 times or more, was pretty likely.
Well, he just got like as much the average result as possible, right? Like half of them went face, half of them hit the Lich King.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about...
Oh, this feels so bad.
He was 63% to hit it 4 times or more there. 64%.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because 4.5 is actually the average, so 4 is below the average. Basically.
DragonAlbert just had to play the Blessing of Kings just to save his Hydrologist. Did that... I don't even know if that was worth it.
So yeah, I worded that badly, but basically, yeah, above 4 is what you expect. 4 or more is what you expect.
Okay.
Because the average is 4.
Right.
But that counts in 4 or more.
Okay.
So the average is on your side. Sorry to, yeah. Just to clear that up, because Twitch always get on my back when I get numbers wrong. I'm right, it's 64%.
Maths with Lorinda.
Dum-dum.
Is that the theme song? Just dummy-dum.
Yeah.
Dum-dum.
Just dumb maths. All right, so DragonAlbert, like you've been saying all game, slowly but surely ran out of things.
And yeah, Jarla goes, wow. Wow.
Emptying that hand out for not overdrawing.
Clearly, Jarla is not trying to win with the combo.
I mean, he doesn't need to now. I think he was at one point, but now he's just managed to exhaust DragonAlbert of everything.
Now he just outlasts his opponent. He might have to finally play a Naturalize here, which isn't ideal. But he can play it with Alexstrasza. That's not bad.
Yeah, it seems fine. And, I mean, Jarla's played this like he plays Prix, let's face it. And now the end is in sight, and Jarla going to go to 2-0, and I don't think, with respect to everybody else in the room, there's anybody I'd like to see win this more than Jarla.
The whole tournament?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Again, he's just one of the very, very few players now who's left that is of that standard who should have won a tour stop who hasn't. Like with Seun picking up the one in Atlanta, we are rapidly running out of names now for... There's Kallax, there's Ball Control, but he won Seat Story, there's maybe Impact, there's Jarla. There's not many people who have regularly been in all these top 16s who haven't got it done. PNC, maybe. There's probably 2 or 3 I've missed off that list off the top of my head as well, but we're running out of names, and Jarla is one who, not having won a tour stop, is kind of criminal right now.
Of course, he was teammates with Puck Frovac, who we had on stream earlier in the Hearthstone Global Games last year, which they won.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's done really well out of Hearthstone, but never had that big breakthrough, that big individual breakthrough.
Yeah. He's probably one of those names, and there's quite a few players like this, but one of those names that anyone that follows the Hearthstone scene,
yeah,
like seriously, like we do, like loads of you watching at home, I'm sure do, you'll know who Jarla is.
Yeah.
But for anyone that watches on a more casual basis, he's not necessarily a name that's going to seem that familiar.
Yeah, I agree with that. But he's been to a lot of playoffs and sort of, again, not had the big breaks that we'd all like him to have, I think. And now just tidying up. We see quite a lot of Jarla because he's often the last to finish. Like, he is a very slow player, and he always plays Priest.
Not in this round of the Swiss, though, as apparently there are still some of those warrior players out and about.
Oh, okay.
Doing their things.
Good old warrior players.
Maybe seeing some of that soon.
Ruining tournaments since 2014.
I bring life and
Look at Alexstrasza coming down with the flute. Jarla just feeling pretty safe here with Quality's gone, Avenging Wrath's gone, Consecration's gone. There may be 1 or 2 of those cards still loitering around in the deck, but...
What do these things... And he's not happy. Like, he was shaking his head there. There's something about this turn that obviously wasn't quite right. Probably missed a leaf.
Probably missed
by
a
the
leaf,
look
though,
of that.
actually. Looking at how close he is, like, and the tools in the hand, there must have been some way to get there.
Oh, he could have got to 5 and he's got UI in hand. Maybe that was it. I don't even want to speculate. I can't reconstruct that turn. It was hours ago. DragonAlbert.
He's clutching his temples. His temples will get him there somehow. No, maybe not.
Uther do?
Yeah.
Double Pyromancer plus Death Coil.
It's like he can. Yeah, it's like he can almost
maybe.
see something. That's the thing here. He's obviously got an idea that he can't quite get around.
He can True Silver, the weaker Alexstrasza and Saronite. Maybe then he survives until next turn and draws an equality.
Yeah, that's the plan. Find that equality. That's a good call. Yeah, Saronite and hope.
Maybe he even has to Death Coil his own face.
Maybe.
No, the MC Tech, sure, okay. But there you go, Ultimate Infestation present in Jarla's hand is going to end this game and this series, with Jarla taking a rather convincing 3-1 victory here.
Yeah, at least for the portion we saw, of course. But yeah, winning with Druid against the even Paladin, a big deal there. Saves him having to go into the Prix match, which would have been an okay spot for him. But DragonAlbert, yet again, we get to see him losing on stream, despite the fact